It's 6 p.m. on a Wednesday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's start with the headlines. President Park arrives in Washington for her 4-day trip. The highlight of her visit will be her 4th summit with U.S. President Barack Obama, where she will discuss coordination against North Korean threats. Also in the U.S. is Korea's Defense Minister Min-koo. His core objective, get the nod of approval for a transfer of technology deemed critical to Korea's fighter jet project. On the back of Lotte Group's biggest shareholder, Hwang Sung-hee Corporation, Shin Dong-ju ousts his younger brother from the board, meaning the race for total dominance of the conglomerate between the brothers is still on. President Park Geun-hye is now in Washington ahead of Friday's summit with her U.S. counterpart Barack Obama. Her official schedule begins Wednesday local time. Hwang Sung-hee, who is traveling with the president, files us this report.
President Park arrived in Washington on Tuesday local time. Topping the agenda for her 4-day trip is her 4th summit with U.S. President Barack Obama set for Friday. The two leaders are expected to discuss bolstering their cooperation against North Korea's nuclear threats and provocations, as well as measures for a stronger alliance. To reaffirm their strong military ties, President Park will make a rare visit to the Pentagon, accompanied by South Korea's Defense Minister Min-koo.
President Park will visit the Pentagon to reaffirm the strong defense posture between South Korea and the U.S.
While President Park's trip is largely focused on ensuring peace in Northeast Asia, there are economic aspects as well. The president is accompanied by South Korea's largest business delegation to date, and she will attend a number of business-related events, such as a roundtable with South Korean and American business leaders.
We formed our largest ever business delegation with 166 people. It's significant that 84% of the delegation are representatives from small and mid-sized companies.
President Park will begin her official schedule on Wednesday morning with a wreath-laying ceremony at the Korean War Veterans Memorial. She will then visit the NASA Goddard Space Flight Center to strengthen bilateral cooperation on space issues. Hwang Sung-hee, Arirang News, Washington.
The president of Botswana will make a state visit to Korea next week. President Ian Khama will be here from October 21st to the 24th. He will meet with President Park Geun-hye at the Cheongwade on the 23rd to discuss various issues ranging from trade to energy and ways to strengthen diplomatic ties. This will be the first state visit in 21 years by a Botswanian head of state. In local politics, Korea's rival parties continue to wrangle over plans for a single state-authorized history textbook. While the ruling party says the young generation needs an unbiased history education, opposition blocs vowed to challenge the government's decision. Park Ji-won has the latest on clashing views on how history should be recorded.
The ruling Saenuri Party reiterated Wednesday that the purpose of a government-issued textbook is to correct distorted descriptions of Korea's modern history, including an alleged lenient view on North Korea, while being harshly critical of South Korea's authoritarian past. The ruling party says it expects a neutral, unbiased history education that engenders future generations with pride and national unity.
We need to fix the biased ideological education given to our students, as it will be an historic error and a big mistake by adults.
Regarding the opposition bloc's criticism that only 3 OECD countries, Greece, Turkey, and Iceland, use single government-issued history textbooks, the Conservative Party stressed that Korea is the only divided country among OECD members and that Korea's unique situation should be taken into consideration. But the main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy says the government decision goes counter to democracy. The Liberal Party has not only created a special internal committee to halt the government's move, but is also uniting with the Minor Justice Party and 5-term lawmaker Chun Jung-bae, who is expected to soon create a new Liberal Party. On Wednesday, chairman of the New Politics Alliance for Democracy, Moon Jae-in, continued criticizing the government, saying the decision violates Article 31 of Korea's Constitution, which says education should be politically neutral.
President Park Geun-hye said the necessity is to teach proper history, but glorifying the history of collaborating with Japanese colonialism and dictatorship cannot be proper.
Since 2003, a system of adopting single government-issued history textbooks for middle and high schools changed to an alternative system, giving government authorization to private publishers. Currently, there are 10 history textbooks for middle schools and 8 for high schools, which all passed government authorization. A recent public survey by Realmeter shows tense confrontation over the matter, with over 47% of respondents favoring returning to government-issued textbooks, while nearly 45% oppose the government's move. Park Geun-hye, Arirang News.
South Korea's defense chief is also in Washington for talks with U.S. defense officials. One of Han Min-koo's main tasks is to convince the U.S. to sign off on the transfer of some key technologies required for Seoul's fighter jet project. Kim Yeon-bin has this report.
Defense Minister Han Min-koo is expected to request the transfer of 4 rejected technologies considered crucial for the Korea fighter jet project when he meets with his U.S. counterpart Ashton Carter in Washington. Government sources in Seoul say Han will attempt to persuade the U.S. to reconsider the 4 rejected technology transfers as they are deemed critical to the KFX project. South Korea signed a deal last year to acquire 40 F-35A fifth-generation fighter jets with stealth capabilities from Lockheed Martin by 2021. To better guard against North Korean threats. The 4 technologies, including the ASA multi-purpose radar and RF jammers, which are used to disrupt or prevent communication via a broadcasted RF signal, have never been transferred outside of the U.S. The initial request was rejected by the U.S. State Department in April. During a parliamentary hearing in Seoul last week, Mr. Han acknowledged the need to re-request the tech transfer, and before his departure, pledged to raise the issue during his U.S. visit. Even with the defense chief's visit, experts say it is highly unlikely the U.S. will transfer the technologies.
In one way, this is an embarrassment. It looks like Seoul is begging for the technologies. The 4 core technologies have never been transferred, so it is highly unlikely Korea will get them.
In August, Han wrote to his U.S. counterpart requesting help regarding the denial of the core technologies, but received no reply. Outside of the KFX project, the South Korean defense chief is expected to discuss and share security information and establish a platform for the upcoming annual Korea-U.S. Security Consultative Meeting in early November. Kim Yeon-bin, Arirang News.
The circumstances of the Japanese military setting foot on Korean soil was one of the hot topics at the National Assembly's interpellation session on Wednesday. Prime Minister Hwang Sung-hee says Japan's self-defense forces can only advance into the Korean peninsula after consultation with the Korean government. Connie Kim tells us more.
Japan's self-defense forces will be able to enter the Korean peninsula in consultation with the Korean government. Korea's Prime Minister Hwang Sung-hee, during an interpellation session on Wednesday, said the Japanese military could advance into the Korean peninsula after consulting with the government in cases of inevitable situations and within necessary boundaries. Hwang stressed, however, Korea's principal stance is that Japan's military is not permitted to enter the peninsula without the government's approval, adding no foreign military can come into Korean territory without Korea's permission. Concerns over Japan's greater military role abroad has been mounting since Tokyo's recent passing of new security bills. The security legislation passed last month allows Japan to exercise a right to collective self-defense, permitting Tokyo to fight alongside its allies even when not under attack. Critics say the bills violate the Japanese constitution and could lead Japan into U.S.-led conflicts overseas. Upon passing of the bills, Korea made clear Japan will not be allowed to exercise its right to collective self-defense over issues related to its security and national interests without Seoul's consent. Neighboring China has also voiced strong opposition, urging Japan to act with discretion on military and security issues. Discussion of Tokyo's right to collective self-defense will be up for talks when the defense ministers of Korea and Japan meet next week on the sidelines of the Seoul International Aerospace and Defense Exhibition. Connie Kim, Arirang News.
North Korean provocations was the X factor that could cancel long-awaited inter-Korean family reunions. Fortunately, Pyongyang refrained from such acts, and preparations for the meetings are now forging ahead. A delegation from Seoul will visit the venue for last-minute checkups on Thursday. Here's Song Ji-sun on how the reunion will take place.
The 20th family reunion will take place as scheduled. This comes after the two Koreas held high-level talks last August this year. that thought inter-Korean relations in a way to enhance humanitarian exchanges. South Korea's Unification Ministry said Wednesday that the venue is ready to welcome families reuniting for the first time in 65 years.
Our preliminary delegation will depart for the venue on Thursday to fine-tune details for the reunion, like the overall itinerary, routes, and accommodation.
The 2 rounds of family reunions, starting with the first, will see some 400 South Koreans travel to Mount Kumgang in North Korea to specifically meet 97 North Koreans who sought family living in the South. Following this, another 90 South Koreans, accompanied by other family members, will get to meet their family living in the North. Over the course of 3 days, the families get to reunite 6 times, each lasting 2 hours. On both trips, participants will arrive at Sokcho a day earlier to be briefed on do's and don'ts before traveling to the North. In total, around 650 South Koreans will get to reunite with their separated families. The oldest participant is aged 98. Despite earlier woes that the reunion may not be held had North Korea made any provocative move, South Korea's Unification Ministry says Pyongyang is cooperative in prepping the event, the first since February last year. 송지선, Arirang News.
Lotte Group Chairman Shin Dong-bin, the younger son of Korea's largest retail conglomerate, has lost some of his leadership in one of the latest moves led by his older brother, Dong-ju. Shin Se-min has the latest on the group's power struggle.
Lotte Group Chairman Shin Dong-bin was discharged from the board of Japan-based Hwang Sung-hee Corporation, the biggest stakeholder of unlisted Lotte Holdings that controls the entire Lotte Group. Shareholders of Hwang Sung-hee Corporation held a meeting in Tokyo on Wednesday that gave rise to the dismissal of the younger Shin from the board and appointed Shin Dong-ju, the elder brother, as chief executive officer there. Through his deputy spokesperson's announcement at a post-meeting press conference, Shin Dong-ju strengthened his position.
As the CEO and the largest shareholder of Hwang Sung-hee Corporation, I, Shin Dong-ju, have secured 28.1% control in Lotte Holdings, largely owned by Hwang Sung-hee.
Shin Dong-ju alone has secured a majority stake in Hwang Sung-hee after receiving a single share handover from the founder, Shin Gyuk-ho. On the other hand, Dong-bin, the younger son, holds less than a 40% stake within the company. While reiterating his position, the elder sibling also said he would straighten matters within Lotte Group, adding he would concentrate on seizing control of the retail giant. Following the decision, Lotte Group said in a statement the result does not undermine Chairman Shin Dong-bin's control over the retail conglomerate, as Hwang Sung-hee is a family-owned company that owns a fraction of shares of Lotte Holdings. The majority of Lotte Holdings still supports the current chairman Shin Dong-bin, a confidence shown since the shareholders' meeting back in August. With the turnover, the race to the ownership of the retail giant looks to last for a while, as 2 siblings, both overconfident, are thriving to secure an inch more of their position within the group. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Moving on to a different story now. Today is the last day of Korea's Black Friday, and participating outlets saw a significant growth in revenue. The 2-week sales campaign is looking like a relative success. Yi Soon looks into the effectiveness of Korea's biggest discount event to date.
Shoppers in excitement, bustling to see what they can get.
I got winter jackets for family, a bag, shoes, and a dress. They were on sale.
It was a scene almost extinct in Seoul's department stores this year, especially in the face of a virus outbreak in spring. But shoppers returned to grab their bargains during Korea Black Friday, a government-driven discount campaign run from October 1st to 14th and involving around 34,000 stores in 200 traditional markets. The Trade Ministry said Wednesday that since the beginning of the event to the 11th, the 3 department store chains, Hyundai, Lotte, and Shinsegae, recorded an average of 25% boost in sales. Online shopping malls saw an even bigger growth at 25%. Meanwhile, the 3 mega grocery chains E-Mart, HomePlus, and Lotte Mart recorded a 15% increase compared to last year's post-Chuseok sales. As for traditional markets, 78% of merchant associations that responded to a survey by the Small and Medium Business Administration said they saw more than a 10% growth in revenue. while some said that more preparation and publicity would have helped boost sales further. All respondents said that they would participate again if another Black Friday were held in the future. Lee Soo-in, Arirang News.
Korea has seen a rise of multimillionaires despite protracted economic doldrums at home and abroad. Credit Suisse's Global Wealth Report 2015 released on Tuesday shows the number of Koreans with a net worth of over $50 million has grown by 100 individuals in the past year to total 1,800. That's an on-year increase of almost 6 percentage points. The rise in net worth defies the uncertainties stemming from a sluggish economy and a depreciation of the local currency. Meanwhile, the strong U.S. dollar has eroded the global count of such ultra-high net worth individuals by 800 since mid-2014. Among some 120,000 of this affluent group worldwide, most live in the United States, almost 60,000 of them. China comes in second, accounting for some 9,500, followed by the United Kingdom and Germany. Well, that's all for now. We'll have more updates at 10 p.m. Korea time. For now, thank you for watching.